And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thomas Tuesday. Happy Thomas Tuesday. And man, we are in for another wonderful, wonderful event. But before we get into any specifics, notice someone's missing tonight. Ken Bianco Jr. is missing tonight because it is his wife Tina's birthday. So before we go into any introductions, guys, please in the chat, right, hashtag happy birthday Tina. Happy birthday Tina in the chat. It is her birthday and we are here to celebrate it on this wonderful, wonderful Thomas Tuesday. So guys, please hashtag happy birthday Tina. So let's wait for those.
I'm going to add my happy birthday to Tina too.
Great, guys.
I'm sure she loves trains. Happy birthday, Tina.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for writing those in. Oh, here they come. Okay. My laptop was lagging a little there. Here they come. Thank you guys so much for writing that. And then, Ken, if you're watching this right now, this one's for you. All right. Anyways, so we are in, as I said, for a wonderful stream. Doug Blaine is with us once again to remind us again that one of these models in the Thomas line that we've been waiting for years has finally just been released. We will get into that in just a sec, as well as inform to us the other upcoming products that will be coming hopefully within the next few months. So, Doug, how are you doing tonight?
Great. Thank you very much, Christian. Great to be with you. We miss Ken, but we know you're up to the task and are going to do a great job. So I look forward to doing the show with you tonight.
Thank you. And our guest for this evening, with probably the biggest HO shoulder layout that I've seen in the fandom as of yet, RWS NWR12, aka Val. How are you doing tonight, Val?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
And that is an incredible setup you have behind you. And I know you've been working so hard on it. There's so many locations that we're going to go through. And you also have a ton of HO customs that you've also created, many of which were made using the Bachmann Thomas products. So,
very true. Very true.
So I look forward to seeing the layout as well, Val.
Okay. Thanks.
So we're in for a great stream. And let me just check the comments real quick before we go into any presentations here. Shout out to Jacob K. He also put a hashtag Ken is the king. So Ken, just another one for you right there. And people are saying hello to Doug and hello Val. Everyone's excited for the layout tour, Val. It's going to be an awesome, awesome stream. How is everyone doing?
Hopes up, huh?
All right, but without further ado, let's go into the announcement from Bachmann. What has just been released, Doug? Remind us all again.
I will certainly do that. First of all, just a reminder to everybody as well that I can't see the comments. So if there's any questions coming in, I'm not responding to. I do apologize. But as I gave Christian a heads up that unfortunately I don't have a lot of new product to show or new samples, but we do wanted to give some updates to everyone, and we're going to call this Boxing Day. So everything that I show you is going to be in a box or a package, and we figured that would be appropriate due to the British origins of Thomas, of course. And for those who don't know, Boxing Day in England is the day after Christmas, generally, or almost always the day after Christmas, but it's the first weekday after Christmas. It's a bank holiday or a public holiday, and it's usually used for recovering after Christmas or shopping, doing all those returns. But so we're just going to use the name and show you what's for our Boxing Day. It's going to be what's in boxes and either ready to go or on the water or here already. So to follow up on Christian's tease there, I think many people already know, but for those who don't, Daisy is shipping now. So there's Daisy in her pseudo box, and so I think so. That's out there shipping. Please be sure to contact Train World. Get your order in if you haven't already. Do I sound like Ken? Is this a good thing?
Absolutely.
Be sure to get your order in and get Daisy on your layout as soon as you can. So she is ready for you. Oh, Ken, what do you have there, Ken?
Ken, I'm not Ken.
I'm sorry, Christian. Well,
that's all right. I've also got a Daisy model myself, and I just want to say, easily one of my favorite Bachmann Thomas models now. It's just wonderful altogether to have now a bogie diesel, the first one in the line, with moving eyes. The back bogie is powered, and the front one even has pickups too. So it's an extremely smooth runner. I've had zero problems, especially running over switches. Sometimes with the smaller engines, I'll have issues with them stalling there, but Daisy ran right through, absolutely no problem whatsoever. One of the smoothest engines. And I'm telling you that, guys, firsthand. And I know for a fact, like numerous other people on social media too are saying that. So, and I know everyone is hyping up over that. So I'm just going to highlight your comments there. And,
Excellent.
And yeah, no, just here is Daisy once again.
She's ready for her close-up. Let's get her face in there.
Yeah. With the moving eyes and the iconic white buffers.
Yeah, and she's got the some shading on her face. Which
yes,
is,
I was going to say the eyelashes
touch on that,
as well as some what did you call it?
Blush, maybe.
Blush,
blush.
And eyeliner. So that's just wonderful attention to detail right there. So once again, yeah, she is the first bogie diesel in the Bachmann Thomas line, and hopefully, Doug, not the last.
I can't make any promises ahead of time or any promises, so I can't say. But anyway, I'm going to continue now with the Boxing Day theme. I'm going to go from large to small. So now we've shown these before. So this is, again, just a review of what is shipping. These are our large scale wagons, plank wagons. Let me get them in there. There's our mining wagon. This is currently shipping. So that's good. We have 3 of these large scale plank wagons, the mining wagon, the scrap wagon, again, shipping now. And one more, the coal wagon. And this has a coal load in it as well. It's a little hard to see through the window in the packaging, but it is a green car there with the coal load. And so if you're into large scale or some garden railroading at spring, get these plank wagons, get them outside and get enjoying those trains as soon as you can when the weather breaks.
Yeah, and I know Val too is like Ken always pressures me, like not pressures me, but like is always reminding me, yeah, I need to get my large scale layout going in sometime. And Val, you've got that amazing HO layout. Let's see you do that same exact layout in large scale one day.
That might be a little bit outside of my range, but I do love the large scale trains. I would love to have an outdoor layout someday, but right now I just kind of sit in here like a monk, just in the basement.
So I'm going to give a 2-part explanation on the plank wagons I just showed you. So they are shipping now. That's the good news. And we have plenty to handle the orders that we currently have for those. The bad news is, as we've alluded to before, or we've tweeted this out or sent some social media, we do have some products stuck on a ship in the Chesapeake Bay. So ironically, it's a ship called the Ever Forward. It's a large container ship, and it's stuck in the mud in the Chesapeake. It's been there for about 2 weeks. We have 3 containers on that ship, and unfortunately, it is affecting some of our shipping for Thomas product. So those large-scale plank wagons, we got about half in. The other half are stuck on that ship. So I'm going to show you some more products now, going again from large to small. These are our HO scale brake fans with the cleaning pads. Now, this is not specifically a Thomas product, but it does have the hook and loop couplers that are compatible with our Thomas range and the cleaning pad underneath. So as you can see in the box, they're done, they're produced, and they're stuck in the mud. So unfortunately, we're hoping the ship, I think they're going to make one more attempt to get it out of the mud with some barges and cranes and tugs, what have you. And so hopefully they'll get it out. If not, they're going to have to start unloading containers. They're going to pull up another vessel and unload containers and hopefully get things going again. But in the meantime, we have no idea when we're going to get these. So we have 4 of these road names. The first one, I forgot what that was. That's the Signal and Telegraph. This is Network Southeast. Nice blue colors.
Nice.
And I got two more rather. London Transport. And this is electrification or departmental.
That was my favorite.
That's your fave?
I love if you can't see it there, it has some really nice hazard stripes on the ends. Oh,
yes, it does.
Nice. It looks very nice.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get that going to you soon. Again, from large to small. So this is good news too. If it's in a box, you know it's been made. There's Peter Sam.
There he is, guys.
Okay, he's not stuck in the mud, but he's not on a container yet. So we're waiting to load him onto a container. So we got a little while to go on him. But the fact that he's, again, in a box is a good sign. Awesome. And lastly is, and again, you've seen N-Scale James before. And he is also, unfortunately, stuck in the mud. So some things happen that are beyond your control. And we were, hoping to have these to everyone a long time ago. But you just got to be patient sometimes. So that's the story of my update. I'm sorry I don't have any new product or new samples to show you. But I'm hoping to show you the progress and explain where we are. And we'll get things moving to you as fast as we can.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's just incredible. Yeah, I know, Valentino, you said that the green gray brake van was your favorite. My favorite's the blue. I love that deep shade of blue, and that's the one I'm going to be getting for sure. That one right there.
That's probably my second favorite. I just I really want to hook those up to like a breakdown crane kind of train and just have it clean my track and look like a little maintenance thing going around.
Because I was going to say, Valentino, you have a ton of tunnels on that layout. Some of
I
which
knew you were going to bring
hard to get through, with the track cleaning blocks. So those brake vans are really going to come in handy.
They sure will. They will.
Got to keep those tracks clean for good operation, right?
That's what I'm doing.
And Doug, what's the ship called again?
The ironically named Ever Forward.
Ever forward. So the moral is, guys, we need to keep looking forward.
Absolutely. I like the positive spin.
Definitely. Oh man. So once again, guys, just so many products, right? Like in Bachmann, and I just want to remind everyone as I'm going to share my screen right here. So just bear with me here, as you probably know, it's the first time I'm hosting one of these. Here we go.
Not too much pressure. You're doing great, Christian.
Thanks. So yes, Daisy is available. Can everyone see this? I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Daisy is available from Train World, guys. We have Ken told me that they have a ton in stock, and a ton have already sold too. So get yours while you can, because I have a feeling she's going to get out of stock real soon. And as a reminder to everyone, Train World does ship internationally as well. I know a lot of people have actually asked Ken and me through social media, like if Train World ships internationally. We do. So that's a reminder to everyone. And also just to go through the whole selection here. If my laptop hurries up, there we go. Yeah, there's a huge selection of HO engines and N-scale Tobys on the way as well, as we can see here. And
we have a little way to go on N-scale Toby, but listed, which is good.
We have the Red Express coaches, Ryan, and the reintroduction of Salty. So yeah, get your pre-orders in, guys, too, because these things fly off the shelves according to Ken. So it's definitely jump on it. And Train World's got great deals, fast shipping, super fast shipping, and please, yeah, get your orders in while you can. Even the DCC Thomas and Percy, those I'm really looking forward to personally, Doug. The DCC Thomas and Percy, those are going to be so neat just to see the sound and the DCC operation within those HO models.
I look forward to bringing them to you. I do have to give you a caution on that. Is that the decoder situation? I'm sure everyone's aware that there are decoder shortages worldwide, and that is affecting our progress for those locomotives. So, unfortunately, I must say that they will not be available in 2022.
Okay.
So we got a long way to go on those.
Will be well worth the wait. But just the fact, we're getting locomotives with sound and DCC operation in HO, just it just speaks like how much like the technology has gone, and how far it's gone.
Definitely, and I can attest to fast shipping from Train World. I put in an order myself and had it very fast, pronto shipping, great service. I concur and applaud Train World on great customer service. Good job.
Thank you. And yeah, he was hoping Ken will be watching that too, so he knows that too, Doug.
Excellent.
Great. And yeah, let me stop the share. And we will now transition to everything Val has in store for this evening.
Yes.
So Val, we're going to begin with the models, right?
Yes. If
All
you
right.
have the PowerPoint,
work our way up to that massive layout.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got the PowerPoint. It's in your hands.
I do. I'm going to share that screen right now.
But everything should be in order. So
awesome. Yeah, there's so many models you have here, Val, and I'm just really excited to share.
This is custom models you did, Val?
Well, I don't want to spoil it. It's a combination of from repaints to scratch building, putting my own body shell. There's some things that I'll be excited to see your reaction. That's all.
All right. Well, looking forward to it, as I'm sure everyone is.
All right.
Can everyone see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Excellent. All righty.
Right. So
with Henry.
Yes. So you guys should recognize this is Henry as he was originally built with the smaller firebox. And this was actually made with Bachmann Spencer chassis. Those drive wheels are Bachmann Spencers, and the motor is that I've just repainted, and everything else is kind of cobbled together on top of that. But maybe that's how the real Henry would have been built. I don't know. So yeah, you can see the little parts list underneath there, but
awesome. Next model.
Nice.
Oh,
Val, how many hours do you spend making a beautiful model like that? That's time.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was talking to Christian about it. I feel like the hardest part is starting just with your parts, and then once you get going, though, I just want to keep going until I can do the painting, the lining. It all kind of comes together. That's the best part for me.
Beautiful job.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then this one is, I'm sure you recognize Scarloey. He's just painted a little bit differently in the Railway series. So I've painted him a different color red, and I've added some transfers there, which it's a little bit hard to see, but those are Fox transfers. And I give him a nice, really shiny dome. I think that's pretty cool looking.
Nice.
That is nice.
And once again, that is based on the Bachmann model, right? That's the Bachmann model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, Bachmann Scarloey is excellent. I just had to you don't have to repainted it, but I wanted to, and honestly, that's all it took.
It's really cool. This is based more on the Railway series, and it's just cool that you can take the model and have many different liveries and just interpretations on how you would like it executed. So
well, I don't. Yeah, for those who don't know me, I guess typically I default to the Railway series for kind of basing off paint jobs and stuff like that. But as we'll go on in the slideshow, you'll see that's definitely not all. So
before we leave, Scarloy, what'd you use for the dome to get it that bright and shiny?
So I have this Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint, and I actually saw this on YouTube. He sprays his aerosol paints into the cap, and if you let it sit for a while, you can just brush paint those on, and luckily this one keeps its shine pretty well. So that's actually a trick that I love to use.
Yeah, very nice.
So next is Jennings, and Luke Ryan would know more about this than me, but Jennings is a mid-Sodor engine. So, but of course he was never appeared in any of the stories, so it's kind of like a background character. And just reading the comments. This is, if you couldn't tell, based off of Bachmann Reneus. And I gave him a repaint. I tried to change a few details just because, it's the same class of engine as Reneus, so they are going to look similar, but you'll notice the cab side porthole isn't there. He's got all that chunky piping. He's got a little bit different of a sandbox and a buffer beam. And of course, the mid-Sodor engines don't have buffers. They have those whatever those are called, types of couplings. And then Jennings has this stovepipe chimney because the Reverend Audrey's model was using like spares like pen caps and stuff like that. So I kind of tried to replicate. Maybe it's a little bit of a hodgepodge.
Nice. Very nice. All right.
Yes. So these are the Troublesome trucks. And this is actually how they used to do the faces in season 1 back in 1984. So it was pretty simple. What I did was just I designed their eyes and their mouths on Adobe Illustrator. And then my friend, railwaymania.net, printed them out as water slide transfers. So pretty much all I had to do was repaint the trucks, and then I just slid those transfers right on, and I made them a nice load out of, you can see I used foam, and what I like to use for tarps is tinfoil spray painted. I think that looks like a little scale tarp. So those were pretty fun to make. I gave them some expressions that technically didn't show up, but just kind of funny looking to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have a custom one of this model myself, and like I just remember,
nice.
it's somewhere on my way. I have to look for it, but like, I just remember like this is just such an iconic expression, and it was just unique how in just season 1 this was like the one season where for the Troublesome trucks they didn't use like the faceplates yet. They just used,
I think like really only like one or okay, don't quote me on this. I swear only a couple of them had faces, and they would just use those for the close-ups. But so I kind of had fun making up some expressions for. I think I have like 9 of those, so it was kind of fun to play around.
Wow, 9 of them! Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
The eyes look like really accurate. You did a great job of replicating those eyes. And to me, the effect of the paint on the foil is really realistic. That's a great effect.
Yeah, so honestly, here, I'll kind of show you. This is something that I originally used to make like a covered kind of looking wagon. So like, can you see that?
Sorry,
this one's spray painted green.
I'm going to try to transition to you now.
Okay. I didn't mean to make this a whole thing, but
no, I'm trying to.
Basically.
There we go. All right.
So you can see this kind of looks like a covered, like there's nothing in there. But I just use spray paint, and if you kind of wrap it around a little bit, they'll hold their shape. I cannot remember where I don't know if I read that somewhere, but that's been one of my favorite things to use is tinfoil for tarps like that, just because it kind of holds that scale shape very nicely. So
claim it for your own. Say you're the originator.
I can't patent that.
Definitely. And how did you weather these? Because I love it's almost like a grimy black, like a blackish.
Yeah. Gray. So I use, I think they're the Tamiya weathering. They come in, they looks like makeup. And I just apply them with a wet brush or a damp brush, and then you can play around with it with Q-tips and stuff like that. So there you go. It's an easy one, but thanks you guys.
Awesome. Alrighty, and let's see. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. This is the Works Unit Coach, which is also from season 1, and this is actually made from. That's why I have the picture of the brake van. I cut a brake van chassis in half, and I made it a little bit longer. And I actually think that's something they did in season 1 because the actual prop has this weird kind of looking metal bolted plate on the side. So I think they might have just made up the chassis for this as well. So that's kind of what I did with the model. And then the body comes from, there's a Trackmaster toy of Harvey with the Works Unit Coach. And I cut it hot dog style down the middle and made it a little bit thinner. And it fit right on those chassis. So thanks, you guys.
Good idea.
Doug, you got a lot of people in the chat saying they want to see a Bachmann Works Unit Coach.
I would love that as well, because there's they appear a lot later on in all sorts of different colors. And
that's true. Yeah, they were different colors. There was like a brown, like a tan variant, as well as like an indigo variant, if I remember, in the nitrogen era. Mm-hmm. So that would be a really cool tooling.
For sure. I would.
All duly noted. Well, I don't know if we can do as good a job at Val, so I don't
Oh,
know.
yes, you can. All right, you can go to the next slide.
All right.
Let's see, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is also made from Bachmann Reneas. This is Smudger, who's actually kind of the TV series counterpart to Jennings, because in the show, they literally repainted Reneas for Smudger for one episode. So I kind of did the same thing. I filled in his little cab porthole again. I think I took away a few of the details because back in series 4 it wasn't really as nicely detailed. And then it has an Ertl Bertram face on there, and you can actually see the front of the pistons there are still Reneas color, and that's how the actual model is, because they kind of quickly repainted Reneas. So that was a fun one to make for sure. And you can see on the bottom there's all three of how my Reneas ended up.
Sorry, Doug. Doug, sorry. There's a funny comment from Farquhar Studios. He says, "Doug, come on, how many smudgers is it going to take for you to make a smudger model?"
Oh, it's someone else has probably presented their smudger too, huh?
I see the comment there. Okay. Duly noted. Got it.
All right. That's all I can. I'm not going to say anything else. But
no, that's true. I know. Like past guests, like this, Bella. I think you're like the third or fourth person who's like have made a smudger
really?
custom. So he's definitely like a well-known.
Maybe I shouldn't have put it in the PowerPoint then. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Great modeling. It's always great to see.
All right. Well, that's all I got to say about Smudger. If you want to go to the next slide.
Sure. Sorry.
Uh-oh, I didn't mean to start a revolution.
No, it's just the comments are coming in on Smudger. All right, let me change
I guess so. Okay, this is Harvey. So this is the first one that's actually made from a locomotive outside the Bachmann-Thomas range. And I don't know if you'll recognize, Doug, this is actually the ON30 Porter locomotive. So it's it's a O scale narrow gauge.
Right.
But it has a very accurate slide bars and crossheads to Harvey. So what I actually had to do for this was I had the chassis, and to make it fit inside his body, I had to take the pistons off and put them on the other end. So it's technically the chassis are mounted in there backwards, and the pistons are on the back now. And I just unscrewed the rods and turned it around. And then the tanks and the crane arm there were taken from there's a Nakayoshi toy of a Harvey that I stripped down and repainted, and I rebuilt, like, his cab is made from thin sheets of metal, so that's not from the toy. And the transfers, once again, I designed these water slide transfers to be printed by Railway Mania. It was really a pain to scale those to like a curved crane arm, but we figured it out, and those can just be applied right on. And and I got a HO scale chain, so he's over there. But by twisting, actually, he's right here. The chain actually can go up and down. I don't know if you can see that turning.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Hold up.
Nice.
Hold up.
So,
there we go.
Okay, I'm probably gonna have to pull it down, but if you spin this, the chain comes down, and then if you spin it back up, the chain goes back up.
There you go.
Wow. So it's like a mini Bachmann cranky mechanism.
Kinda, yeah. And his little arm spins around. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Awesome. All right. Let's go back to, is it this? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide.
All right.
So this is what this is Mighty Mac, and he's actually made, this is a narrow gauge locomotive. So he's in scale with like Bachmann Scarloey and Reneas and that kind of thing. But for the chassis, I actually used 2 Percy's chassis, and it's kind of getting blocked by the comments, but we designed a chassis block that actually we unscrewed the little PCB there, and there's a plate that sits in there instead, and the chassis screws into that. on 2 of them, of course, and then I wired them together so it technically has 8 pickups instead of 4 separate ones. But this was a completely the custom designed body shell and the chassis black, and that was actually printed for me, resin printed by Tom T Legend on Twitter. And then once again for the transfers, I designed those and had them printed by Relay Mania. And the face design, those very accurate faces were made by Thomas Modeler 1 on Twitter, I believe. So he's definitely one of my favorites. So.
Yeah, Mighty Mac's just one of those characters, from the model series era of the show, that appeared in like the late model series that unfortunately just never went into CGI. That I kind of wish we would have seen more of in CGI, just because of his such a unique narrow gauge model.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I it's kind of strange because there's a lot of these where they're not particularly interesting characters, but they're particularly interesting trains, which is what I care about. So.
But I love the fact of the number of people you named that you collaborated with to finalize your model. It's a great community out there that you're getting a lot of support and interest, and the results speak for themselves. It's just great.
Well, it definitely takes a village, but yeah, I could not do it by myself for sure. So, but we can keep going if you're ready. Oh, and then Little Giant is, I don't know how many will know this, but basically they originally planned to introduce a character like Mighty Mac in season 6, whereas Mighty Mac came out in season 10. But he never left the concept art stage.
Val, correction. Correction, Val, season 9. Mighty Mac.
What did I say? Did I say season 10?
It was season 9.
Sorry.
Sorry, Doug. I just had to say that.
Oh boy.
I know you can't get away with anything. I understand.
Jeez, is this what it feels like? Okay. Anyway, yeah. So we just have concept art of him, but it was made pretty much the exact same way. Same people designed the transfers. Thomas Mahler for the faces, Tom T Legend for the print, and this also uses Bachmann Percy chassis, which is the same kind of setup. The body shell is a little bit different in the smoke box and the sandboxes and stuff like that. But yeah, so I ordered a lot of Bachmann N-scale Percys from Train World. I can tell you that if you pull up my order search history there.
That's amazing. And yeah, again, another one of those characters like that was going to appear in season 6. And it's just awesome that just from those, illustrations or just references, let alone not even appearing in the show, like you're able to accomplish like such a wonderful model,
I think there's definitely some creative liberties, but
I was not familiar with that story or that character at all. So thanks for sharing that with everybody.
We just found out in January, I believe. So yeah, I happened to be working on Mighty Mac. So luckily I was just able to change the body shell with like those few small details, and it's the same chassis build, so it was kind of just like it was just like a different body, so it was actually pretty easy.
Timing was good.
It did work out. Someone's asking about the faces. So all these custom faces, as I said, are from Thomas Modeler 1 on Twitter. But yeah, that's Little Giant.
Awesome.
This is Hank. The American engine is made from Bachmann Spectrum K4, which is also outside the Thomas range. And I think this one was pretty much just a repaint, except for his little cow catcher, and his front end is a little bit different. So his running board there and his little, I want to say frames, but I'm not going to get technical, those are scratch built. And then the cow catcher actually comes from the wooden toy Hank that I painstakingly added onto and sanded it to make it a little bit wider. And the face is from the Trackmaster Hank. And then you can see the there's the two Hanks in the bottom picture is an edit, just because there's a behind the scenes picture where they apparently made 2 Hank models.
So you had to recreate that behind the scenes picture, that one specific shot.
I thought that would be funny.
Wow.
But yes, there's not actually 2 model Hanks. But there was in the show, even though he only had 1 episode. I don't know why there's 2.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Hank American Engine is here too,
Oh,
so I'm sure
there
he's
you
very
go.
happy to see this.
The cow catcher, yeah, it's from the wooden toy, but I used like little pieces of like it's called mounting board. It's basically like a little bit thicker than paper. And so I cut out these tiny pieces and glued them onto the side, and then like sanding them, priming them, sanding them, etc. But
Awesome. That's amazing.
see about Hank.
And what? Remind me again, just one more time. What Bachmann model was Hank based on?
Well, it's the Spectrum K4, but this is an older one. I mean, Bachmann still produced a K4, so any one should work. But
And probably still available on Train World, right, Chris?
Yes,
probably.
nice. So if
This
you want a
one-
custom Hank, get yours from Train World.
You sure can. The Trackmaster face fits it perfectly.
Awesome. Alrighty.
Okay, and this is Charlie. He was made with a Bachmann. That's a Bachmann Thomas chassis with Percy-sized wheels. So one thing I love about using Bachmann like as a base to build these models is there's a lot of opportunities to swap out the parts like that, like the wheels and the rods, all the little screw sizes. A lot of them are cross compatible. So with Charlie, I used that because that's what I had in my spare parts bin, I guess. And then the body is on Charlie is pretty much all scratch built out of I want to say like a poster board like material. It's kind of that thicker card. And the smoke box was made with the wooden railway toy and face.
Nice.
All right, and Ferdinand was made with the Bachmann 3-truck Climax, which I believe was a Spectrum model, and he's Ferdinand's kind of a strange one because in the show he was not this detailed. He didn't have all the little piping and stuff like that. But when I was repainting this model, I really liked the way it looked with all that. So I left it on and I just kind of highlighted it with some gold paint and weathered him up a little bit and gave him the buffer beams, which of course is unique to Thomas and Friends world. But yeah, that's
sorry. I'm looking in the chat, Val, and like everyone's saying Ferdinand's famous catch slogan. That's right.
I see.
It's like he always says that.
Oh, okay. Someone says, do the eyes work on all of these? So the eyes don't work like with an eye mechanism like in Bachmann Thomas models where they're powered by the motor. But a lot of them, like I'll show you with Hank, I drill out the eye. This is gonna sound gruesome. I drill out the eyes that come with the toy, right? And I actually use Bachmann eyes from other locomotives and kind of put them in like the show. So they're posable, but they don't work like as it's running around. The eyes won't look around. But oh yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Ooh. You can take his eyes out.
It's a nice creative way to do it. It gets, rather than having to create eyes all over the place, which would be really difficult.
Well,
the effect is good by drilling out from the back and inserting the existing eye. It works.
Yeah. Well, of course it looks like they'll have moving eyes like in the show, but if I was ever filming with these, I kind of just got to take them out and reposition them. But
yeah,
that's definitely not. I did not invent that. A lot of people do that on Twitter with their posable eyes, as I'm sure you've seen. But
yeah, no, and speaking of which, like, there's an interesting question, Doug. Is there any chance someone's asking, would Bachmann ever make interchangeable faces for the engines in multiple expressions for the future?
We don't have any plan to do that right now. Sorry to say.
I would think that would be hard to have a market where you're encouraged to take your toy model apart and change the face out. That sounds like maybe a liability issue.
Well, to speak to Val's point, which is a very good one, yeah, you got to remember that the level of modeling expertise of the people watching this stream is so much higher than a beginning customer. And you invite people to take off faces. Sometimes the eyes are a little difficult to align. and we might end up with a service department full of locomotives that people can't get the faces back on correctly. So it's a very good point.
Got it. Alrighty.
Okay. So this is kind of a simple one. Scruff is made with the Bachmann. I don't know if it's the technical term is street trolley or San Francisco trolley, but it has a motor bogie unit in there. That's like really small. So I took it out and put it on, and the body shell is a take and play toy. So I kind of just stuck it on there and weathered him up a little bit. I don't have much to say on Scruff.
There's not much left of the trolley on that model.
There isn't. There is not. He's not a trolley anymore.
Definitely not.
Exactly. All right.
All right.
Okay. So this is Gator is actually a steam locomotive, despite the way he looks. And the chassis for this was actually, I wrote it in here, a Bachmann B23, which is a diesel locomotive. And what I had to do was because Gator has he has two bogies with 6 axles, right? But they're really close together, which is not really a common find. So what I actually did was I kind of bodged my own third wheel on the inside of both of those. I had to cut off the fuel tank, and I added those 2 extra wheels in there, which you can kind of see the setup on the side there. So that converted him from a diesel to it's technically a steam motor locomotive. And the body shell was printed in, I want to say, at my old high school, because I recently repainted this model with some Fox transfers. You can see the lining there is a lot nicer than it used to be, but that was definitely a bit of a stretch for me.
Turned out well.
Cool.
This is Timothy, which is also made from a narrow gauge locomotive. It's I wrote it in there. Yeah, the gas mechanical diesel. Because he has the outside cranks, he's an outside frame locomotive, kind of like diesel. And so I just kind of like Charlie, I just built my own body shell on it, much smaller.
Cool.
Samson was made with, I'm pretty sure it was Bachmann duck chassis that I cut one of the axles off and put Henry-sized wheels on there. And he's even though he's been to near death, it's an excellent runner still. I'm amazed. But and then the body and the face were used from a Trackmaster toy that has been repainted. But
Now your bag of tricks and bag of parts are amazing.
It's certainly, yeah. I take some maybe a little bit too creative choices sometimes. I didn't have to go this far, but that's just what I had.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
All right. So this is actually, most of the credit here will go to Kudike 88 or 888, but he designed the Shooting Star body shell, which is actually just Gordon streamlined, which is on Shapeways. And the great thing about that is that you can swap it with the Bachmann Gordon shell. So you can kind of streamline him and unstreamline him as you please. So really all I did was paint that, and I gave him the face from a Trackmaster toy. So that's it.
Nice.
And Dexter was made from the red branch line coach, the red branch line brake coach, actually. As you can see, he has those little ducats on the end. And in the show, Dexter was repurposed from an old coach and had his wheels taken away so he could be a school classroom. So that's why he's kind of painted up like a mural. And once again, the face was designed by Tom Smodeler 1, and it was printed by Tom T. Legend. But I definitely had a lot of fun painting that.
Awesome.
So that's hand painted as opposed to a decal?
Yeah, so because the there's like a lot of detail on the side of those coaches.
Mhm.
If I made a water slide transfer, it would be, I mean, it would be kind of warped, or it would be hard to get it to sit
It
flat.
wouldn't lay flat properly.
Yeah. So what I actually used was, I believe, a combination of little brushes and also like paint markers, like really small paint markers. And I believe also like a fine tip Sharpie, I want to say. So yeah, that's what I did here.
That looks painstaking.
Well, you know how small they are, Doug. It was.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you. Next slide. All right, and then Hannah is, I'm sure you recognize, well, she's Henrietta's sister, so she looks just like Henrietta, but she just has a little bit of a different face, and she has two little lamps on the side, which are almost hard to see, but the face I actually made from a birdie, so if you look too close, it's going to start looking like Birdie and Hannah.
The Bachmann birdie?
No, I think it was a wooden toy.
Okay.
But yeah, and she's painted a little bit lighter yellow. I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's not next to Henrietta. So
yeah,
that's Hannah. And Bo is made from the ever iconic 440 American locomotive. So Bachmann produced many of those. So it was pretty much just. I don't even think I had to repaint the boiler because I got one with a silver boiler. I just repainted the cab, and his tender is like a little bit different with a little bit of lining on there. And then, he has, for some strange reason, they choose, some characters to have buffers and some to not. So Bo has a buffer beam above a cow catcher, which I think is a few locomotives have had that, but maybe not this time. So that was Bo. And then, of course, the face is also by Thomas Modeler 1.
cool.
And this is probably a little more my least popular customs, but Sandy is a little rail speeder. So I actually used the Bachmann John Bull. The motor is in the tender, so I took that out and I made it into a little rail speeder car. So, and she has a little cement mixer that she pulls around.
Terrific.
Oh, and this is a bit of a strange one as well, but so basically, this is the Chuggington rolling stock, the hoppers, the low side cars, and those box cars. But as I'm sure you'll know, in season 22, they start going around the world. So I got these because they have the British isms of like buffers and assuming chain link couplings, but they're also kind of not British. So it kind of works with the way that they put buffers on all these international engines. Well, now they have this sort of international style rolling stock. So you can see on the right there's with a few engines from around the world. But that's just kind of I don't know, that was a funny thing.
Nice.
All right, I think this is my last one, is some of the rolling stock seen in Tugs, which is actually the sister series to Thomas and Friends. And so basically it's kind of a reverse. A lot of the boats have faces, but the trains don't. And so what I did is I used the Bachmann, I believe they're called the old time passenger cars and combine cars. Oh, I didn't read that.
Sorry.
But and then I used the bobber caboose, but it doesn't have the what is that called on top? I forget.
Cupola.
The cupola. That's right. And it doesn't have that in Tugs, so that was kind of just a repaint. But they used this very strange combination of American rolling stock with like pretty much, it seems, whatever they had for engines. So that's how I made my Tugs rolling stock.
Nice.
I believe all the models.
That's right. And now we come to the moment everyone's been waiting for. Well, not that the models we weren't waiting for, but man, this is I saw this video, guys, and man, we're in for a nice treat the next 8 minutes or so.
All right.
So
I gotta
I'm
listen
going
to
to
myself.
stop this screen, and I'm going to open the other tabs to have it open up in another screen. So
I hear a drum roll.
All right. All right, we're back to here, and now we share this.
Well, Christian's working his magic there. Val, just the number of models that you did. I'll chime in later.
Okay.
Don't
Hold
wanna
that
interrupt
thought.
you.
Sorry. All right.
Oh boy.
All right. Good. Can everyone see it?
It doesn't seem. I mean, I can see it, but I don't think the video's loaded.
Yeah, I didn't start it yet. I just want to make sure that it's on. It's on
Yeah.
the screen. Okay, good. All righty, here we go.
You see Boke.
This is Thomas, a little tank engine with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He looks a little new to the island of Silver. Let's give him a tour.
I think you're getting some feedback,
Start at
Christian.
Tidmouth, the terminus for the main line. Hopefully it'll look something like this eventually. Tidmouth Station is where the express departs from, but it also has a bay platform for passengers wanting to travel up Duck's branch line. Across from the station are the mainline engine sheds, which has a big turntable and a back door that allows sick engines to go to the workbench. The sheds are also serviced by a coaling stage, which can be accessed by this steep track, and should eventually look like this. Next to them are the carriage sheds, which seem awfully small, but are actually just an entrance to a much larger yard, so rakes and coaches can be pulled out as needed. The diesel depot is set up similarly, to give the diesels a place to stay, while the turntable shed is typically for steam locomotives. Tidmouth is also home to the largest harbor on the island. It's here that the flying kipper departs, as well as other freight to leave Sodor by ship. This pier will have a large warehouse like in the books. The last track in Tidmouth also goes underneath the raised main line, down to a helix that leads somewhere.
I think a lot of people are getting an echo. I don't know if that's just.
There's storage for maintenance vehicles in the yard, across from where a larger workshop.
I do hear the echo.
Is there an echo? All right. Well, let me try muting everyone. Okay.
Side of the main line is the Skarloey Railway Slate Exchange and the engine sheds. The narrow gauge main line begins appropriately at Crovan's Gate Station here, where passengers can exchange from the big railway. There's also a junction by the river that climbs to the lift bridge. So in total, there's technically 3 main lines over this section. The uppermost one splits off by the bridge, goes through Marin, and around above the engine sheds, but I'll get to that and this other junction later. Past Crovan's Gate and this bridge on the lower main line is Toby's Windmill and Cozy Cove. This is the main entrance to the layout, where 2 main lines cross the gap via bridges, one of them being the Vickerstown Bridge. The lower track leads into the Great Railway Show Yard, a place solely included for all my international engines to have a place to stay. The upper track goes to Vickerstown Station, with a little siding that goes to the mail depot. There's also a figure-8 tram loop here that I can leave a tram engine running on. It allows passengers to travel up and down between Vickerstown and this station that I'm hoping to build akin to the one seen in Stepney the Bluebell engine. So in the end, this will be a huge double-decker station. This track looks like a regular platform, but actually leads up past a little washdown and onto Kirkmachen, but more on that later. The Vickerstown engine sheds are here, and then both main lines join back up and lead into Kildare, the junction station for the Peel-Godred branch line. This is the Cannon terminus for the line, so the electric engines live in a shed here. This little spur will go towards a boxed-in railway museum that will technically be underground, but I'll come back to that. To start at Kildare and go up the branch line, engines will have to go up a small helix here and continue to climb to Peel-Godred. So why is there two entrances to this branch line? Well, because Kirkmachen is here, and to reach its height, I had to start the branch for it way back at Vickerstown. Ideally, after leaving Kildare, you would go through Kirkmachen before reaching Peel-Godred, but this way everything fits and it acts as a secondary entrance to the branch line. So there's two electric branches that climb over a series of bridges and eventually meet up at Peel-Godred, but I'll get there shortly. Back on the main line, we reach Wellsworth, Edwards Station, and around the bend to Arlesborough Harbour. There's a sunken quay here, and it follows the main line into Arlesborough West. This is the terminus to Ducks branch line, and also the depot of the Arlesdale Railway, which runs on the tedious Z-gauge track. The Z-scale system has some rolling stock storage here by the loop that leads up to the chute, and across from that are the engine sheds. To take passengers up to Arlesdale, they climb this curvy track past the turntable and into the loop, where Rex crashed once. The second turntable, as well as Arlesdale Station, is here. The large plateau behind the Arlesdale Railway is the aforementioned Peel-Godred, the highest standard gauge station on Sodor. There are aluminum works here and the narrow gauge transfer yards. Back on the ground, the main line goes past Arlesborough West Station, through Tidmouth Tunnel, and around to Knapford. There's a goods line that takes a single track route through a separate tunnel. In Knapford, there's a big shed where Emily used to live, and a quarry which is inspired by the Reverend's own layout. The main line splits here again, with this track going past Knapford Harbour, where Percy fell into the sea, back around to Tidmouth Station. The left track goes through a tunnel, which is actually Henry's tunnel on the other side, and gradually climbs above the sheds to Marin and this mysterious junction. This is the last mainline junction, and it goes above the staging area and workbench, across this metal lift bridge, through the dual gauge tunnel to the gold mine, aka Bertram's home. From there we go over the viaduct, a few more small locations, but ultimately connect back to Peel-Godred. The narrow gauge line follows this all the way around from Crovan's Gate, above the workbench, etc., and therefore links the Scarloey Railway ultimately to the Mid-Sodor. As I covered briefly, above this museum will be a Mid-Sodor layout similar to the way the Arlesdale Railway is above the main line. Otherwise, the museum space would pretty much just be empty. The narrow gauge line will go under the Peel-Godred line to Kirkmachen and do a loop shaped like this. The Culdee Fell Railway will do a simple C-shaped loop above that, and the standard gauge line will run through it all back down to Vickerstown. It will look like this with all the tunnels in place. And that's pretty much the gist of it so far. It's a little ambitious, but I think the hardest parts are behind me. Just like my models, I typically don't shy away from the challenge.
What did I miss?
Wow. Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Guys, what a layout, right? Jeez.
Mm.
Oh,
Um,
man.
well,
What a layout. Outstanding,
So
Val.
thank you.
Val, like you have to, your vision for putting that all together is just tremendous to make all those connections and put it in your physical space. I just applaud your creativity and vision. That's really outstanding.
Thank you. Well, I think it's a really good hobby that gives you an outlet to be creative. So Bachmann Trains definitely helps with that, as I said.
Think we can all concur on the hobby being a creative outlet, and it's just great to see. So thanks for sharing that with everybody.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and can you very, very quickly like show us like a few parts like live on like that laptop right now? Would it be possible?
Yeah, I mean, how about is there a particular place? Do we want to wait for someone to say it in the
Can I
chat?
see? Yeah, well, one area I'd love to see is that Z
Oh, boy.
gauge area. like you said,
Oh,
you have like a OOZ area, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is it's taken a lot of 3D designing and printing, a lot of like these I had to build custom Z scale turntables is not easy. It's very fiddly, even more fiddly than the narrow gauge, which can get quite small. But I can that's kind of in front of me, so I guess I can turn my laptop around for a second.
Wait. Sorry, I just. I know.
Let me put you over here for a second. There's no way to turn my camera around, is there?
We'll have. Let's see.
I don't think so. I only see stop camera. Okay, so it's mostly up. So the way the Z scale is down there is kind of like the shunting layout. But if you go up to here, the engines can keep running around in this loop, as you can see.
Wow. And that's all. Is that all like cardboard strips and plaster cloth you used, like the wide area?
So what I use is cardboard, but then paper mache, and then I think I stopped using plaster by then. That might be just I want to say drywall mud. I don't know the technical name, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I started getting those big tubs of it because the plaster was a pain to mix by hand, especially to get it smooth. But yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And sorry, a question from me, real quick. No, it's not to mimic Zoran. It's just got a little mustache. That's all.
Are you sure? I see the resemblance. I don't know.
Come on, I don't want to be an antagonist, you know.
Right there.
Zoran is the main antagonist of Tugs, so
He's had his moments. We all make mistakes.
yeah. Well, here's a question on track engine shorts. Wanted to ask how you power the track or how you did your wiring.
Well, basically, so there's one wire there's like a main wire, right? Like a normal house that goes around under everything underneath the table. And so where I need to tap into that, I pretty much do. It's the way that I have it set up is all the track is live because as I'm transitioning to DCC, that'll allow, any engine to be moved wherever because it's all live. So as operating as DC right now, kind of connecting it in different spots, not only allows me to cross the bridge because there's some isolated points on the bridge that have to be powered separately, but it also keeps the voltage from dropping when you get too far away. So that's something that I think is going to help me out once I do get to DCC as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Nice. And what DCC system do you use?
It's over there. It's a Prodigy Express 3 or 2, but basically because there's an option to go connect to the Wi-Fi, so you can give you a handheld controller, which is going to be, I think, a useful tool. Right now it has a handheld, but it's plugged into a wire. So I can walk a little bit, but I mean, I guess I could get a really long wire, but ideally it's for in future so I can walk around because, I'm sure you all know if you need to stop a train over there from crashing, but you're over here with the power, then it can be a little bit of a problem.
Right. And what are the dimensions of your layout again?
Oh, geez. I wish you'd asked me that before. I could have measured it.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of this strange L-shaped space, but then I also have, the bridge in that wall that goes through the wall above the workbench and the staging area. So I don't know.
I would call the dimensions just huge.
Okay. I'm trying to be humble.
Oh, just amazing! Like how much detail there is, and just how many locations you have there too, and that's another part right behind you, right there. Where I think you have the docks right behind there.
Yes, that's Tidmouth Docks.
In the docks.
Your water looked fantastic. What was the water?
Believe it or not, that's actually it's just it's like clear resin. So I get this 2-part resin, and you have to mix it for a while because it's 2 parts. But then I'm able to make a really big batch of it and just kind of pour it out from a bin. It's kind of like the consistency of caramel. But
Great effect.
I've been using. What was that?
It's a great effect. You got great color underneath it.
Yeah. And I love you also with the docks. Sorry, real quick, just with the docks. I love that you also used, I believe, plaster, right, to cover like the ties, so that it's just.
Oh yes.
Tracks, right.
Yeah. So for both docks, you'll notice that it's like, I don't know if you want to call it yard style track or tramway style track. Basically, the sleepers are buried, so whatever trucks can drive over it. And there's a few different ways I've done that. Tidmouth Docks was unfortunately my first attempt, so I used plaster and I thinned it out with a lot of water. I boxed in the area so it wouldn't go everywhere. I poured it in like cement, and then I like scraped it flat with a like those putty or whatever you use to make plaster flat in your walls. And then from there, I had to run a flathead screwdriver down and carve out for the flanges, which I don't recommend. So ignore all of that. What I do recommend is using DAS clay or DAS clay. And the reason for that is I've used that for, it was in the video briefly, Arlesborough Harbor, and also the Starlory Railway sheds and stuff like that. And that's, you just buy that as a block of clay, but it's water-based. So you press it down, and you can smooth over all the joints and get it as flat as you want. But it doesn't chip like plaster. And because it's water-based, I think you have a little more, you have more working time, but you can also, this is something, if you work with any kind of clay, if you wet it down, you can re-soften it if you need to and reshape it. And then instead of carving out those for the flanges on that, there are products on Shapeways, or I'm sure you can make your own. It's a little roller that you roll in the tracks, and it has 2 like ribs around it that go where the flange of a wheel would go. So as you roll it down over the clay, it makes a nice indent in there for your wheels.
Very cool. Very cool. And when did you start this layout? That's the other question I'm seeing a lot here in the comments.
Well, it's the first edition, I guess, started in like 2017, but we had a flood, so we moved it. Everything came out. All the track, I left the track nailed in on the tables, but it's all been relayed since then anyway. And we put down wood or fake wood flooring instead of carpet. And we also finished it. So these walls behind me used to be bare bricks, but we finished it. So, even though it gave me a little bit less space, that's a little bit less inches on each side, but it does look nicer. So since then, that was in 2018, late 2018. So I would say from the tables being intact, like completely, it's still probably taken me a few years to get this far. Because obviously, I mean, at this end, I started on this end. Obviously, I'm doing track work or landscaping, paper mache, whatever. But on that end, we were building table. So it was like kind of a, I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint that, but that's my best answer.
Wow. Well, the progress is just incredible, and I look forward to seeing, like, now that pretty much all the track is laid, I look forward to seeing like the incorporation of scenery, you know, slowly but surely. Because like I'm starting to see like more and more tunnels, more and more landscaping, and you know that's my favorite part of model railroading. You know, when you get into the scenery, the layout really comes to life. You know, with those mountains and trees and the water, and just all blends together. You know. So.
I agree. I've had fun. As you can see, I'm scared to move beyond my water. I know how to do. I'm scared to move beyond that to the greenery. But
yeah, the water. But like, if the water looks that good now, I can only imagine how incredible the greenery is going to look. It's just.
Yeah. Looking at your models and what you've done so far, I think you can do anything.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess time will tell for that one. But
very good. All right. Well, on that note, thank you guys again so much for tuning in for another Thomas Tuesday event. Thank you, Doug, again for showing us more updates on the upcoming products and tuning in to for all the guest presentation. And thank you, Val, so much for that incredible layout tour, the video, and just right there behind you, as well as the PowerPoint with all the models. I mean, it was just really incredible, like the attention to detail and just how much time and dedication has been put into all that. So.
Thank you. I'm really glad you asked me to come on because it was really fun. Thank you.
Awesome. And great job hosting, Christian.
Yes.
Kudos to you.
You could have Ken's job.
Don't think I'm there. Don't think I'm there just yet. Or will be now, because Ken's got like the charisma, man. Like I look up to him every single time in all his YouTube videos. I'm like, man. And yeah, shout out to Ken if he's watching right now too.
Great job.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. And
so long, everybody.
Happy Thomas Tuesday.
Bye.